stress of extreme exercise and how that it's just the whole system. The whole idea is balance. And if you go too high or too low in terms of your chemistry, your activity, your foods, your lack of sleep, they don't talk anything about too much sleep, but basically they feel we're like, we should be having during the winter months, we should be having like 13 and a half, 14 hours of sleep. Actually, I'd amend that a little bit, but and during, most people, we hear about 8 hours, you need 8 hours. They do not think that is enough. They do not, to do all the cleaning that's needed for the system to rebalance, including the glymph in the brain, which is getting rid of the matter that is interrupting thought and function. So anyway, there are so many places where it was relevant to someone concerned about Parkinson's or any other brain health issue. Everybody's concerned about food, in some way. They've got a lot of opinions that are really quite on track with what we tend to line up with right now in this group. And so
well, I just realized I started the recording late. So for the people who've joined, we're talking about Lights Out, a book that was written in 2000. Chris, what are the authors' names? There's
T.S. Wiley and Bent Formby. One's an investigative reporter, science reporter, and the other is a PhD. So lots of connections to the things that we're all interested in. Well, we're all interested in health. And,
so it's also it's interesting that you talk about balance and not overdoing it. I mean, I have spoken in the past, and in my book, I have a chapter in there on exercise and the importance of exercise, but not over exercising.
Yeah.
John was a marathon runner, and I think I've even maybe discovered another kind of piece of the puzzle there, which I sent you, Chris, about the pounding, demagnetizing.
Yes. Yeah.
So I'm looking at that, but I was at the biohacking conference this past week, and all these people are there. They're trying to optimize, and they want to. I mean, some of them act like they want to live forever, which I don't totally get, but lots of people talking about these peptides and things. And, of course, you have tons of people on the GLPs, and you're pushing these signals, like you're pushing the body, like swinging. And I was talking to somebody a month or so ago about John after John had COVID, and how fragile his system was. How, we're on the razor's edge anyway with Parkinson's. And after COVID, just things would just swing him way over in one direction or way, and then we were constantly trying to bring him back to homeostasis, which was pretty difficult, frankly, to do. And I'm looking at these people who are, injecting themselves with whatever left and right. And there was a speaker I went to a different conference on Saturday, and there was a speaker there talking about this peptide called Clotho. And the name for that peptide comes from one of the Greek fates. I mean, like, if that isn't a message, like, don't be messing with the fates. And that, like, Clotho spins the life, but then there's two other fates, and one of them cuts the cord and you're gone. And it's like, if you think that you have the power to control that, like, I think you're sorely mistaken.
Yeah.
Jen's got her hand. I don't know if it's Jen or Karen because they're there
I
together.
see that.
I love that.
Yes,
Karen,
we're here.
lean in so we can see
I have
you.
a
Lean
special
in.
guest here. Hello from Milwaukee.
Yes.
Had a visitor today.
Yes, I was out visiting Illinois and I took a dog leg to Wisconsin. So, and it's like, Jen, I got to see you. So
Love it. I love it.
I know it's
Great.
Did somebody, oh, I didn't
You
hear
have
that.
the question, right?
Oh, yes, I have the question. Yeah, it's not really a question. It's a comment, I guess. I mean, I understand on a number of levels what you're saying, Chris, about everybody being concerned about food and everybody being concerned about health. But I mean, I've just spent, like, I had a family member graduating. I've just spent time with my family. And I think my family's a pretty good microcosms for what really exists outside of our little bubble. And I think people aren't, they're quote unquote concerned about health, but they're not really concerned about health, not in the ways in which people in this group are concerned about health. And I think we're starting to see a real pushback on, not so much on gluten-free, but like on food preferences and just, just people saying, well, I don't want to eat this, I don't want to eat that. And I think people are starting to get tired of all the complexity that's involved in dealing with the food system that exists in the world we have today. Because it wasn't like this when our grandparents were kids. You just ate food and it was healthy. Now everything is a question mark. Nothing can be trusted. You don't know if Robert Kennedy is Maha or Baha or just batshit crazy. And you don't, and corporations have co-opted so much of the food supply that you don't know where to go from there. So that's why I think we're going to start to see like a real pushback in the next, year or two, where people are like, screw this, I just want to eat food. I was talking, one of my mother's friends, she's in her 90s. I got to see her, and she said, I'm really not feeling, I don't feel as great as I would like to feel. And she brought this up before, and I'm like, well, why don't you not eat wheat? Why don't you not eat grains? Why don't, And she's like, yeah. And then she was like, well, and then we had like a snack, brats. I got my brat with just sauerkraut and no bread. I'm like, don't put that crap on my brat. She got the brat with the works and Pepsi and, and other, and then she was looking for potato chips too. And I'm like, that was after she had just finished saying, I'm not feeling as great as I would like to feel. I would like to feel better. I'm like, okay, well, don't eat potato chips. That's not a health food. And she thought she thought I was crazy. And I think that's what's out there. We're in this rarefied bubble that has no reflection on the rest of the world that we live in my opinion. Okay, and rant.
I would say to some extent I do agree with that. But I also see more people becoming aware of the problems in the food and trying to make better choices. It's not always easy. Jen, you're on mute, Jen.
I know. I didn't want to interrupt you. Go ahead. I do see efforts. As some of you know, I was just in San Diego on a conference, and my Seed Oil Scout app was lighting up like fireworks. Here in Milwaukee, there's like one restaurant, and it's a pizza joint. But there, even just like sort of at the conference campus, all the restaurants had Seed Oil Scout logos. And so I think there's some geography at play. But I love the circadian conversation. When I travel, I bring some gaffer's tape and I just put little pieces of it on anything with a light. Except I couldn't reach the fire alarm at the, 15-foot ceilings.
Yeah.
So that little green light beamed down on me all night. And I had to tell myself, okay, maybe it's like the moon or maybe stars, like maybe my brain will think that it's something like that.
Hotel rooms are awful.
Yeah.
I will say a hotel in Austin that we just stayed at was one of the least intrusive from a light perspective. But I've been in these hotel rooms. Like I stay in Hilton's a lot. I'm trying to think which one of the, maybe it's a Hampton. I don't know if it's a Hampton, but whatever, they've always got some like pulsing light. And I don't know,
Terrible.
did they say anything in there about pulsing lights? Because I think it's actually worse if it's a pulsing light than if it's a steady light.
Yeah,
Yeah,
sure. Yeah.
I don't know if I mentioned that, but pulsing can also be helpful, but I'm sure that isn't their intent in terms of
No.
health. Pulsing vibration, but
Chris,
Well-
thank you for a synopsis of this book. It sounds wonderful, and I did add it to my cart.
I did order it.
I think you would really be interested in it, Jen. It's right up.
Yeah.
It's it's about everything. There's something in there for everyone, and it's all connected. So good.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I have a follow-up question. Okay, so yes, I totally agree with you about the hotel lights, Martha, just being horrible. But what about, does this book, Chris, talk about sleep mask? I mean, I swear by my sleep mask. I almost always travel with one and whatever. I mean, that makes the room black. There is no pulsing. You don't see anything. How about that?
Definitely. I don't remember exactly if they mentioned that, but they mentioned traveling with tape and covering anything up and they really think you need absolute dark because the least light counts as on. You have to have no light to count it as off. The switch. We're on a switch. Everything is a timed, switch, and it's either light or light and dark, or cool and hot, temperature, and it's just super important to kind of stay with, going back to the idea of going back to homeostasis during the sleep cycle so that you can heal. I feel like it's something, it's an intervention that I can start immediately talking to Lad about and see if he'll, because I think it would really help him with his diagnosis.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, I think I'm actually writing about sleep in this month's newsletter.
Good.
Like for me, it is easier for me to follow the cycle of the sun. Like this time of year, I always wake up with the sun. So I wake up at 5:30 in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a lot easier for me to go to bed at
Yes.
sunset because it's nearly 10 o'clock by the time the sun sets. I mean, fully, by the time it gets dark. But in the wintertime, I have a hard time.
Yeah.
Going to bed early or waking up?
I have a hard time going to bed at like 6 o'clock or whatever when the sun, I mean,
Yeah.
I'm not going to bed at 6 o'clock.
Well, if you were a farmer, you could go to bed at 6 o'clock.
I don't know. Randy's on here. Can you go to bed at 6 o'clock, Randy? He's on mute. Randy's a farmer. He was the farmer I was talking to before.
Well,
Randy, tell us about, I want to hear about this.
How do you farm without getting your hands dirty? That's what I want to know about.
It's impossible. In fact, I'm going to show you. We have a baby cow. The mother's not feeding it.
oh,
It's sad, but I'm feeding it.
okay. So it'll be okay.
So it'll be okay. It's probably not, it's going to be like a formula fed baby though.
Do they imprint? Are you my mother?
It does like me. Let's see if I keep calling her, it's a boy. I don't know why. I got stuck in my head that it was a girl and I keep saying she, but I'm trying. Now I don't.
First cow
Sure.
baby.
I don't. This was last night. This was all the other cows coming to see what I was doing.
Oh, jealous.
Wow.
And here's one. This is a brand new one. The mother is feeding this one. That was born yesterday.
Gosh.
Wow.
So I don't. Where's my picture of my little baby cow that's not being? I don't know, but I watch them too. As the sun starts setting around here, they start, finding their spot. But even here, like light. I mean, I'm on a farm. It's a 300-acre farm. I'm several miles out from town. But I can see, and it's not a big town, but I can still see light pollution. And then to the north of me, which is Louisville, is 45 minutes from here. So Louisville's 45 minutes, and I can see light pollution from Louisville.
Wow.
Wow, really?
Yeah.
So it's not completely dark here either. And I think there's a documentary or something I was looking at, in the Carolinas where they have the turtles, the turtles come ashore and lay their eggs. They have to get everybody in certain sections not to turn their outdoor lights on because it disrupts the turtles. They've found that it's disrupting, migration patterns and different things. Bird migration and, it's just, we've just messed up so many things.
Well, one thing that's coming to mind right now is really basically the thesis of this is that it has only been 75 years, they say, so add 25, 100 years when we were playing around with the circadian rhythm because of the advent of the electric light bulb. I mean, there were candles, but there wasn't, your days and nights were not the same, and they couldn't be made the same, so he talked about one big change when fire was first taken from lightning strikes, right? And that, the use of fire had such an impact on food. And then the 10,000 year ago advent of agriculture, the beginnings of agriculture. And then he thinks this is the next big event 100 years ago that has changed our health. And we think, they said for so long it was fat and it was meat and it was this and it was that. They would say it was the change in taking ourselves away from the rhythms that we are dependent on, that are created by, moving around the sun.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I think
it's a fascinating book. I felt not smart enough to read it in a lot of places or to really absorb all of their details. It's dense, but so good. Okay.
Well, next month we have another book of mine.
Yay!
So we are going to cover my book, which is out on the 23rd. But in this newsletter, we have some copies that we brought back from Austin with us. So I am going to have those in the newsletter for anybody who wants to buy it at a discount for those. I think we have 50 copies or something. So,
So which newsletter? Like, you mean just in?
It'll be the BiotiQuest newsletter that goes out. It'll probably go out Thursday, or I think it goes out on Thursday.
Okay.
Better get my butt.
Thank you, Martha.
Martha, can I go back to just the book really quickly, because I'm thinking about all this and I'm thinking about like the way that I sleep, and it's like totally the opposite. I mean, I I've never been able to go to sleep in a quiet room. I grew up in a house with 5 kids. We were all pretty close together. I shared a room with my sister. Yeah, and like my dad would send us to the basement to study, the dark, quiet basement. I could never get anything done there. I needed to be upstairs where the TV was on, my mother was on the phone, somebody was cooking, somebody was fighting, and then I could get my work done. And now it's like, when I fall asleep, it's like, I mean, I might get really drowsy, but at 9:30 the TV's on, the lights are on and everything, and then I turn out all the lights and I have to make myself go back to sleep again. So this whole, I mean, my circadian rhythms are completely reversed apparently.
Well, that seems a little bit ancestral to me too, that, we would have had, I think we were closer to more people in our daily lives. We weren't siloed into nuclear families.
Right.
There were cousins, sisters, siblings, I think as I don't know, imagine and read more about communal ancestral living, that it was more social on a daily basis. And
Yeah.
what do you guys
maybe,
think?
Maybe.
I
just-
can't work that way.
But I
though.
think
I
the
have to have
advent, I
silence.
do think the advent of the TV and people using that as white noise
Mhm.
has like,
Mhm.
it's almost like, I mean, I won't say an addiction, but kind of like you get used to it. My mother
Mhm.
always had the TV on. She fell asleep
Mhm.
with the TV on, and she had a timer that would go off
Yeah, me
eventually
too.
after she fell asleep. But I don't know why I did this, but back in 2005, when we moved into our new house, I said, no cable outlets, no TVs in any bedrooms in this house. Nobody has a TV in the bedroom.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
if you wanted to watch TV, you had to be in the living room watching TV in one of the rooms that had a TV, but you were not allowed to have a television in your bedroom.
Mhm. Mhm.
Mhm.
I like
Which is
that.
How did that work out? Was there a
It worked
massive
out fine. I
revolt?
mean, it worked out fine. Now, I can't say that my children have followed suit with that. Well, that's not entirely true. So I don't think my daughter has a TV in her bedroom. I do know, I think Charlie and Jack have TVs in their bedroom.
Martha, when I first moved into I bought a house in 2003. I moved into the house. And because I was studying feng shui at the time, and one of the principles of feng shui is you don't want anything yin or yang in the bedroom. So that would be TVs. That would definitely be TVs. And so the TV was only in the living room. And one of my friends came over one day and she was talking. I fell asleep while she was talking in front of the TV. And she's like, why don't you just go to bed? And I'm like, well, I'm working on it. And she was like, well, why don't you just put a TV in the bedroom? I'm like, I can't because feng shui says that's wrong. And she's like, just put a TV in the bedroom so that when you fall asleep, you'll already be in the bed. So, and that's what I did. And now I'm like your mom, Martha. The TV's on. It goes off on a timer. I never know when it goes off, but it puts me right to sleep. And I can't just go to sleep in a quiet room.
So then do you put the mask on when you wake up, or when do you put
No,
the
no,
mask
I put the mask on and the TV's on. It's like the audio of the TV is what's on.
Okay,
I'm not watching the TV.
Okay. It's the same.
Uh-huh.
I cover all holes of my head. Earplugs, eyes. I have the nasal dilator.
And you tape
I
your
don't do mouth
mouth,
tape
right?
anymore, but
Oh, plugged up.
I
I do
all
mouth
of it.
tape. Oh, why don't you do mouth tape anymore?
I don't need it.
Oh, okay. Wow.
Yeah, the light stuff is super interesting, but there's so few places. So I will say I have experienced complete darkness once. When John and I went to Africa on Kilimanjaro, it wasn't on the mountain though. It was when we went on safari after the climbing the mountain, we were out in the Serengeti Park, and we stayed at this hotel, and they turned off the power.
Nice.
And you had a flashlight if you needed a flashlight, but the power was turned off. And I mean, it was pitch black. I mean, I could not see my hand in front of my face.
Wow.
I love that. Martha, I think it's your friend, the photographer from the Apostle Islands,
Yes, Jeff.
from that trip. I follow everything he does because the Apostles are one of my favorite places on the planet. And I've camped up there a handful of times, and it's pretty pitch if you're in the right, moon cycle. When there's no moon, it is dark. It's out there.
I'll have to come back up there. But
It's
after
special.
it was, I could not see my hands in front of my face, and I'll never forget that.
That's neat. It's
That
lovely.
that reminds me back to the light issue in terms of sleep, which is that,
Somebody sent a thumbs down.
Paula's got a thumbs down.
oh, okay. Let's see, that threw me off. Okay, I could, let's see. Oh, I know. 25 years ago, we didn't have kids who were scrolling all night.
Mm.
And you know what a problem that has been, something that's been spoken about and really listed as affecting mental health. And yet these, blue light just staring right at it for so long. I just can't imagine what they'd be saying about where the fix we're in now, is so much.
I think I got to put these on, but
Yeah.
they don't fit my head.
But I can remember when I was a preteen and a teenager, I read voraciously. My parents were always after me about turn off the lights and go to bed now. And then, and I'd pretend to do that. And then I'd wake up and go back to reading my book because I was far more interested in doing that than going to bed. Is that so? I mean, except for the electromagnetic waves, is that so terribly different from what people were? I'm a child of the 60s. I lived for reading with the light on until 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, as much as I could, and not going to bed.
Well, that was an incandescent bulb. So at least
Yeah,
an
that's true.
incandescent bulb is better than the blue light. So one of the things I was reading about, well, I think I cover it a little bit in my book, is so blue light bleaches the rhodopsin in the eye, and that's a natural process. But when you're getting full spectrum light, it's different than when you're staring at blue light all day. But it bleaches all the rhodopsin in your eye, and the way that rhodopsin is replenished or restored is in complete darkness. So if you're not getting that complete darkness, you're not restoring that. And I think that's why we also have a lot more vision problems than we used to have.
Thank you.
So Martha, I have a question. How
Yep.
does simple slumber play into this?
That's a good question.
Yeah.
Well, so I think
Or does it?
Well, I think that the other piece of this puzzle for me is the glyphosate's impact on the aromatic amino acids, which honestly they connect with light also. And now I'm gonna have to switch to my other glasses because I can't bend my head. But so the aromatic amino acids, tryptophan, tyrosine, and phenylalanine,
Yeah.
are made by plants and bacteria in something called the shikimate pathway, and they make a lot of the they're involved in a lot of the polyphenols, and I think those also carry light. I'm just digging that up here for a second. But glyphosate disrupts that cycle of in the bacteria, disrupts the bacteria and the shikimate pathway in plants. So you're getting a description of
Yes, ma'am. Sorry, I
You're-
scared you.
Sorry about that.
Sorry.
you're getting a disruption of those aromatic amino acids, and tryptophan is essential to sleep quality, to serotonin, and I think also GABA. But those tyrosine, phenylalanine, tryptophan are they have a dynamic interaction with light. So here we have together they govern UV absorption in proteins. They drive neurochemical synthesis and power antioxidant defenses in the body. So they are absorbing ultraviolet light. So if you think about that pathway being disrupted by glyphosate, then the plants that you're eating probably don't contain as much light. The bacteria can't do what they do, which is, probably producing light inside us. I know that I had this discussion with my co-founder, Jack, when I was looking at people's data from their gut microbiomes. And I was like, there's genes involved in photosynthesis here. And he goes, there's no light in the gut. And I was like, that's not true. Bacteria can actually make light. So simple slumber is putting in bacteria that can produce tryptophan. So you're restoring that tryptophan pathway is what simple slumber is doing, and bacterial melatonin. But
Martha, what about glycine? Because I've been reading that glycine is really, that's an amino acid that we don't get enough of, and that's really useful in terms of helping improve sleep quality. Where does that fit into this?
it
Or does
does. It does. It's the smallest amino acid. And glyphosate actually is what's known as an analog. It is a similar molecule to glycine, except for glyphosate has a little nitrogen molecule side chain. And so we covered Stephanie Seneff's book maybe about a year ago, Toxic Legacy, and one of her hypotheses is that glyphosate is substituting for glycine in proteins in the body. I don't think that has technically been demonstrated. It kind of has, but not exactly. So they have put glyphosate in, and not the full glyphosate comes out. But that's not actually identifying it in a protein. But there are people who take glycine and Stephanie Seneff actually was one of the people who recommended taking glycine so that you have sufficient glycine to displace any glyphosate. That I can't really attest to one way or another, but I think it's interesting. And glycine is a sweet amino acid, which is also kind of interesting. So I use it in my morning coffee as my sweetener. But it also helps lower your core body temperature.
Which helps with sleep, I would think.
Yep.
Yeah.
Is it a fiber? Is it prebiotic, or is it a carbohydrate?
It's an amino acid. It's neither.
Yeah.
But
Okay.
amino acids can be used by bacteria. So honestly, just about everything is a prebiotic because bacteria can eat just about anything. Hey, Norma Jean, you're being awful quiet there. You're on mute.
Yes, I'm being awfully quiet.
You
I
are.
got here late, so I missed the first part.
Oh, well, we're fortunate that Chris read the book because I had such a crazy busy month. I did not read it, but I didn't even order it. I was so busy. I think I had it in my cart and
didn't follow through.
didn't follow through. So I
So
did.
when
order
you-
it.
So
I
when you
did-
say you don't have to read the book, you really don't have to read the book.
well, yeah,
Just someone does.
it's always good if somebody reads the book and tells you about
Yes.
it. And that's usually, and it's often Chris, but
Thank God for Chris.
but like next month, I'm going to tell you have to read the book because it's my book.
Yes, next month we do.
Wait,
And,
since I'm late to the party, what are Karen and Jen doing in the same place?
That's right, yeah.
We're having a party in Milwaukee, you guys.
We are. I was out visiting family. My family lives in Illinois, and I did a dog leg to Wisconsin.
Sounds like fun.
It was. It has been, and I'm on my way back. So I had to fit Jen in. It's like I got to see Jen.
Yeah, this is like a kind of a drive-by almost.
It
This
is.
a quick pop-up. And I'm like, and we have to do book club.
Yes.
So, here we are.
That's great. Yeah, that's fun.
Let me go back to glycine for a minute. You know, so one of the other things that the biohacker thinks, so if glycine lowers your body temperature, that's also, I can't remember who it was talking about. They have one of those chili pads for their bed.
Mm-hmm.
And they said that was one of the biggest improvements of their sleep was sleeping on a chili pad.
Huh.
But I don't know. Like I've slept on a blow up mattress that was cold and rubbery feeling. That did
Like
that
an
didn't,
air mattress.
yeah, air mattress
Yeah,
is
it doesn't breathe. Yeah.
Yeah.
typically cold, but so I don't know how those chili pads work, but I think they're kind of expensive.
Yeah. Well, it drops,
course
you know,
they
that's
are.
the heat and cool. That's the switch on heat and cool that we have to experience to go to sleep is lowered temperature by 2 to 3 degrees. They talk about that in the book too.
Well,
Well,
is that normal? I get unreasonably cold at night. I am so cold and it does not match ambient temperature. It doesn't necessarily match the people around me. But I think I do have a big drop and I get cold and I want to cover up a lot.
Well,
A
maybe
chili
that's
pad
good.
sounds horrid.
Maybe that's good. You don't need it to be good.
I don't know.
I mean, back in the 80s when water beds were big,
Yeah.
I had a water bed, and in the summertime, my house didn't have central air, so I just turned the heat down. That was my air conditioning. But I'm like with you, Jen. I can't imagine doing that now or sleeping on a chili pad.
Or sleeping on the cold ground when the ground is cold. Like
Oh
Yeah.
God.
been on some camping trips where the ground was pretty cold.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's not the kind of camping I enjoy.
Yeah.
But
Glamping or nothing.
if you just think about how, you know, how we lived, like even 100 years ago, Chris, when we didn't have the electric lights, we didn't have electric heat either. So there was a
Yeah.
fire in the fireplace or a furnace, a coal furnace in the basement. But, if you went to sleep, all that heat was dying out over the night and it was cold in your house.
Mm-hmm.
Right, right.
Well, we don't even have to go back 100 years. My family heated their house with firewood. So
Nice.
by the wee hours of the morning, the whatever was in the fireplace was burnt and or not the fireplace, but a wood stove. And so it was the first one who woke up had to go put firewood in. We had one on the first floor and one on the second floor.
And he know how to rest.
Talking about mattresses, is any of you has avocado?
Avocado mattress?
I've heard
The
of
natural, the
I don't
natural
have
ones that are made of cotton and all
Organic
natural.
cotton.
it's a
organic.
brand.
Oh, okay. I do
Right.
I have a 100% organic cotton. It's called Satva.
Oh yeah,
Oh,
I've heard of
saffron.
Sattva too.
Yeah.
Is it good? Are you happy with
I
it?
love it. I love it.
Is it more, how is it? Is it really the, I don't know, breathable or because
Yeah,
of
it's
the,
yeah, it's breathable. It's
What he does.
is it hard or soft? How would you describe it?
they have a couple of different ones. It's I would say it's medium-ish. It's definitely not soft. I don't like a soft, squishy mattress. Like I'd rather sleep on the floor than a squishy mattress or a
Mm,
Tempur-Pedic or something. There were a couple of mattress. There was some kind of fancy mattress at the biohacking thing, and it was like, oh, this is going to be the healthiest, most. And I went over there and I was like, it's all made out of synthetic stuff. I'm not sleeping on that.
So Safa is made of cotton as well, you're saying, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, I looked at it, but kind of avocado is now the top one, maybe. I'm not sure.
Is
But
it good?
nobody,
Do you
I
have it?
don't know. I think I'm gonna buy it. I want to try it first, so I have to find a store that carries it because I bought a mattress like this once without trying, and I had to return it in a couple of days. Oh, sorry. I have to take this.
There goes the bird. Yeah, I periodically keep going back to tell myself, okay, it's about to get dark, go to bed. And then, I start cleaning up the kitchen or, putzing around. The next thing I know, it's, an hour after dark. Now, what I do have some small lights, like I don't turn on the big overhead lights or any of that. And even when I go into the bathroom to brush my teeth, I don't turn on the light in the main bathroom. I turn on the light in the hallway. So there's enough light in my bathroom for me to see what I'm doing, but not light in my face.
Nice.
Yeah, I turn on the light from my diffuser.
Oh,
That's what
nice.
I use to brush my teeth with. I don't turn on the overhead lights either, Martha.
And then I have an orange light bulb next to my bed that is just enough light because I like to read just a little bit before I fall asleep. And I can read about 2 pages and then close the book, turn off the light, put on my mask, and I'm gone.
Nice.
So what's the book about sleep that you were reading today?
Oh, it's called Lights Out. Chris, you want to hold it up so Paula can see it?
Okay. So what is about?
It's about everything and how connected it is, but how everything's connected to light. Chris, did I get that?
Yeah, exactly. Everything's connected and we're every living thing on earth is tied in the same way to the light dark cycle. That is the result of the earth rotating around the sun.
I'm connected for sure. That's for sure. The light of the moon is waking me up, and if I looked at it, then I go to sleep. But I have to get up and look at the moon, and then I have to fall asleep after this. or the sun or the stars.
This-
I mean,
What
yeah,
does it say?
but not.
Yeah, what does it say about the moon? Because like this week it was a full moon.
It is a full moon. Yeah, it's
And
beautiful.
really bright.
Very bright. It wakes me up, so I have to go and pee. And then, but when I look the moon and then I fall asleep, I have to look at the moon. That's why it's waking me up.
Yeah.
It's
I
really
don't
weird.
remember references to the moon, although I bet they're in here for sure.
Well, I'm very much connected. Happens all the time. It doesn't matter where I am, which continent, which country, doesn't matter. If the moon is up, full moon, I have to get up and look at the moon. Weird.
So then I think like as far as total darkness, you're only going to get that when you have a new
Oh.
moon.
That's right. Yeah. Unless it's cloudy, unless there's,
But even through the clouds, you get
yeah,
some of it.
there's some. That's right.
Jenna, I muted you because there was background noise, but you can unmute if you.
No, sorry, we're at outside, but a public place. I was just thinking we do a lot of dietary challenges and physical fitness challenges, but I would be more than happy to help guide a sleep health challenge in our Sugar Shift summer endeavors. Just a thought, if anyone would be interested in dialing in sleep and sleep habits. I think it's a worthy goal. I think it's probably
I do too.
the highest priority in the whole list of health, habits.
And
Okay.
there's so much in
Yeah,
the book.
The news?
And there's,
Oh, sorry.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Maybe I'll put
There's
a
so-
challenge in the newsletter.
Okay.
I think it's a great idea. There's so much about light and appetite and carbohydrates and sugar. It so
Yeah.
much relates to the Sugar Shift group, for sure. I mean, this, I feel I need to go back and really study the part about food and how the digestive system and hormones in general, which are affected by light. It's fascinating to me. They basically say sleep more and you will lose more weight than you will in any other way. I mean, isn't that so counterintuitive? But it's pretty amazing. I'm going to do a little research into see how this book was accepted at the time. They're before their time, I would say, in terms of the microbiome, Martha.
Yeah.
And also how who reviewed it positively. It certainly wasn't a big hit because we haven't talked much about sleep.
Yeah.
They convinced me.
I completely disagree about the darkness. You saw my thumbs down. I think darkness is the worst thing that you can do to yourself to fall asleep. If you go, for example, have you been on the sun on the beach laying down and you fall asleep immediately? I mean, this for me is like a melatonin or whatever. So the light, the sun makes me very sleepy all the time. Darkness, I don't think so.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Well, we haven't really been in darkness much for most of our lives. So,
Yeah.
maybe we aren't.
I don't know how people sleep when they put a mask on their eye. I really don't understand this.
I'm keep my mask.
You do?
Yes.
I cannot do this ever. I want to be aware of my surroundings. This is like, I don't know, strange.
See, here it comes.
Oh no! I don't even feel okay looking at you. And that makes you better?
I mean,
Well,
it's-
that is a good point that, like I do earplugs and eye mask and,
Oh,
anyone could walk into
earplugs
my
are
home and
okay
I would
because
never
you can
know.
still hear, right? If you put
Not really.
earplugs.
I mean,
No, really? Oh,
not really. I mean, I do the wax because I don't want
oh.
noise. I don't want, and
Well,
I can sleep
again,
so
I'm
well that
very,
way, but it's not safe.
I'm very
I mean,
weird, I suppose, because when we go to hotels, I always make sure that the hotel is facing the autobahn, the highway, so I can sleep like a baby. And if I was living in a big city, I would buy a house next to the highway. But I hate the pollution, but I love the noise. This is like, oh, they should make this noise for sleeping.
interesting.
Well, I think what you're making us realize, Toby, is that there's a tremendous individuality in this, because
You're breaking up, Sheila.
We cannot hear you, Sheila.
Sheila,
Something
you're
is
bro-
wrong.
You can't.
Maybe if you turn your picture off, maybe it'll pick up the sound better. Bye, Jen, Karen. Good to see you.
Good to see you, Karen and Jen.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, that's better.
Oh, you know what? I need to stop I need to close out a couple, a couple.
Better.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yep.
Yeah.
Toby saying, just making me think, there's a huge amount of individuality with all of these things. And find that like noise actually helps them sleep.
I think maybe you're too far from the microphone. Could you?
No, it's probably the internet or something is wrong with the internet.
Internet. I think it. Yeah, I'm going to use the chat.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, you're breaking up. The internet is wrong. Something is wrong.
Okay. We'll look for you in the chat. Yeah, I wonder about my daughter Mary Mac was always afraid of the dark, and so she slept with her light on when she was little.
Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah, but she has terrible anxiety. So
Oh,
I wonder if that's from all that light. Do they
I
say
don't think so.
that?
Well,
Yes,
maybe
there is
instead
a-
of light, maybe it's just red light. Red light is perfectly fine to sleep on. Do you know those lamps that are like made
Yeah,
of
it's like a lizard lamp. I have one of those.
lizard? I don't know. It's a stone. It's what is this?
Yeah, I know
Like a salt,
the salt lamp. Yeah.
salt lamp, and it's orange kind of reddish. So first of all, it's salt, and second of all, the light is very nice. She can sleep on that probably.
The authors here would say that there's such a strong connection between mental health and light and having a circadian rhythm that matches. And anxiety is part of that. They would say there's a big link up there. It's fascinating about the mental health section.
Meaning what? If you like the light, you have anxiety, or
if
the
you
other
are-
way?
If you are, the dark is very important for mental health, good mental health, a dark cycle.
Well,
Everybody's different, Paula.
yeah.
But basically that's what the research showed in 2000.
I can take darkness only if I'm outside. I lay on the ground and see the stars. But again, just complete darkness, interesting.
Okay, so back to my tyrosine, tryptophan, and phenylalanine for a moment. I found a paper. I'm going to drive you nuts with this paper, but I found a paper, The Photophysics and Photochemistry of Phenylalanine, Tyrosine, and Tryptophan.
Wow.
What does that tell you? That tells you those 3 amino acids are very much involved in light. And what are we doing with the chemical glyphosate? We are disrupting that.
What were the chemicals again? The amino acids?
Tyrosine, tryptophan, and phenylalanine.
What is phenylalanine?
Phenylalanine,
Yeah.
it's a precursor to dopamine.
Oh. Is it in GABA?
Is it in GABA? Let's see. Does GABA contain phenyl? No, it does not.
No. Okay. What is it? Where is it? I don't know. I never heard of it.
Well, GABA is gamma amino butyric acid, so it's basically it's a form of butyrate.
Hmm. So it's not on the list of disrupted ones from glyphosate?
No, but I bet it is somewhere downstream of it. But
Like,
you know,
for instance, I know a lot of people that have ADHD, they're, they're always looking for dopamine and things like that because I guess they don't produce enough.
yeah.
Sometimes.
I mean, it's the same thing with Parkinson's.
Yeah, and it's interesting you bring that up, Norma, because I've read in the last week 2 different places. Dr. Amen was talking about ADHD and bringing up that there are different types. He has actually 7 identified types.
Yes.
And
listen.
oh yeah, and he believes that the it's
Bill,
not just about
this one.
dopamine, it's about serotonin, dopamine, GABA, and acetylcholine.
Choline.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
acetyl-
And then a few days later, I read an article about Parkinson's that was listing those same 4 neurotransmitters as being can be out of whack in Parkinson's, even though we really focus on dopamine. And it was just interesting to me. And one of the articles related it to the pesticide and glyphosate situation, which is interfering with the and what you're talking about, the 3 precursors, Martha? Right?
Yep.
Wow. It's sort of like I read this somewhere this week too. You start to get a grasp of something and feel like you know it. And then the more you know, you realize you need to know a lot more.
It's like pulling on a thread in a thread of silk.
Unravels. For a while, I actually took a supplement called phosphatidylcholine.
Yep.
Yeah.
And when I took that, I mean, I think it did wonders for my ATP. So I keep thinking about going back to take.
Yes, that will help because that restores your cellular membranes. They're made of phosphatidylcholine.
Yeah.
Yeah, I felt pretty good when I took it. But I think I just never restarted it because I was weeding out too many things, like trying a little bit of this and trying a little bit of that.
Yeah.
And I mean, I already eat a ton of eggs and other, proteins, but
Yeah.
Was it-
Martha, do you think that, speaking of eggs, Norma, I read somewhere else this week that a huge study, thousands of people, and heart disease and Alzheimer's. And the common denominator for those who were at least risk for those two diagnoses was eating an egg a day, which would be because of the choline
Yes.
in an egg. Where does choline
They were at risk of what if they ate an egg every day?
No, they were at less risk.
Oh, gotcha.
If they okay. So where do phosphatidylcholine and choline hook up? Isn't phosphatidyl a precursor to choline?
I don't know.
That's a phosphate bond. So you're so that comes from probably inositol phosphate.
It actually says inositol
Yeah.
on the bottle.
Hey, well, point for Martha. No.
Yeah, no kidding.
Well, somebody I was talking to this week, we were looking at, excess phosphate, because they put so much phosphate fertilizer down now, and then it's in the water and everything. And too much phosphate is, there's some problems with that.
Yeah, I'm sure there's probably quite
For
a few.
I'm looking up inositol for a minute. But the person I was talking to this week had been taking a phytase that is involved in inositol, and she kind of overdosed herself and got really sick.
Oh.
Well, there's another supplement that I take that has inositol and glycine in it. And I sometimes mix that into my unsweetened tea that I drink in the morning. And again, it's sweet because, like you said, it's got the glycine in it.
So the phosphatidylcholine and the inositol together are basically the building blocks of the cellular membranes. I keep falling off my chair. How they work together. Interesting. When taken together, phosphatidylcholine and inositol act as the structural bricks and mortar of your cells, while simultaneously upgrading the messaging systems, cell signaling that keep your metabolism and nervous system functioning.
Yeah. Inositol's recommended often in mental health protocols, non-pharmaceutical mental health protocols.
So you get those from eggs, organ meats, soybeans. Unfortunately, they have totally trashed the soy supply. And whole grains, those have also been trashed because they're sprayed with glyphosate. And legumes are also kind of trashed because they're dried at the end of harvest with glyphosate.
Yeah.
So, I mean.
So hopefully the supplements that we're taking aren't made from
are helping.
I would
Yeah.
so much rather get it from. I would so much rather get it from food. I do. Like I have these little. I have a couple of farmers, like young people that are leasing land and growing chickens and eggs and vegetables and stuff. And I talk to them about how they're. Yes, we do have to grow our own food, Sheila. That's the only way you know what you're getting. Or I mean, talk to the farmer, because and that's what I do at the farmer's market is I talk to them, and I am happy to pay more for the food at the farmer's market that is a quality food that I can ask the farmer about than to go to the store and not know where it came from.
I have a cousin that's a dairy farmer and also grows corn. And I had a conversation with him about probably 10, 15 years ago. And I asked him if he used Roundup Ready corn. And he said, he goes, well, we had this whole discussion / argument about, and I said, well, you know that's actually like an antibiotic, right? He goes, no, it's not an antibiotic, it's an herbicide. I said, yeah, but it's really an antibiotic. I said, because we were talking about how it disrupts the microbiome, which he doesn't really know anything about. But he actually, the next time I talked to him, he said he gave up using Roundup Ready corn because each year that he used it, the yields were less and less and less. And, you know, the whole thing about the Roundup Ready corn is it's promised to the farmers that it's going to increase your yields. And he said he just switched back to regular.
Yeah.
What does Roundup Ready mean in that reference?
It just means that the seeds are all treated with glyphosate or Roundup.
Oh,
Now,
nice.
now the seed is actually genetically engineered to be able to survive
Yes.
the spraying of glyphosate. So in the soybean plant, they have engineered genes that make it resistant to glyphosate. So
Yes.
it won't kill the crop, but it kills all the weeds. And then, okay, here, Martha's nerdy things. I'm going to show you something else you probably don't want to know.
No, we do like to know. That's why we're friends with you, Martha.
Hang on, I got to find it. Oh, let's go over here to this other. Where it, okay, this drives me a little nuts when I can't find my Dropbox. Let's see, where's Dropbox? There it is. Okay. Hold, please. It's open. Not opening. Let me get it off I'll get it off my phone. I'm much zippier with my phone. I have this paper that, because I have this librarian friend who can get papers for me. Years, because a lot of these agricultural research papers are behind paywalls that you can't get to them.
Mhm.
I'm going to send this to myself, and then I'm going to pull it up on screen. There's always ways around the problem,
Well,
the problems they cause for you. But okay. Now let's see. Here I have the paper. And I have to go over here and share with you. So I gave a talk, oh gosh, probably back in 2017 or 2018. Well, two different talks. So one of them was at a microbiome conference where I showed, so when they genetically engineer a plant, they take the genes that they want to incorporate into the plant, but then they use antibiotics and other things as marker genes. So if you look at all these are the classical marker genes that that were being engineered into plants. So phosphotransferases, and these are really technical terms, so I don't expect you to know them. But phosphotransferases are very important for energy production. These are acetyltransferase. These are very important enzymes. Okay, this thing here, enol pyruvate, blah, 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 that's the shikimate pathway. Cytochrome C or cytochrome P450, a lot of people have heard of this before. That is a detoxification pathway. This right here, this phytoene desaturase, that is a gene involved in photosynthesis that I found elevated in people with Parkinson's.
Oh my God.
Their gut microbiome. Alpha tubulin, like these. Okay, here you go. Tryptophan synthase beta 1. I don't even know what that gene does, but I'll guarantee you that it messes with the tryptophan pathway. D-serine. Let me tell you, D-serine it drives virulence factor in microbes. And this, oh my God, a homobox gene. Those are like, you don't want to be messing with those.
What does D-serine do? And is it different than serine?
So there's L-serine and D-serine.
Oh, okay. Okay.
So the L amino acids are more human and the D amino acids are more bacteria. And D-serine is like a signaling for virulence in pathogenic bacteria.
Wow.
So then so what they do is they engineer this enzyme into the plant along with whatever gene they're trying to deliver. And then they see here where it says selection agent. Then they put kanamycin, which is an antibiotic, or they use all these different antibiotics to douse the engineered stuff, and then only the stuff that has the antibiotic resistance and these particular genes will survive. So then here's the herbicides. So like, I still don't understand why the hell they're using these. Yeah, and now that I have AI, I think I'm going to put this paper in there and ask it like what the hell they were doing.
Yeah, I mean, there's a ton of antibiotics.
But when you start looking at this, there's a lot of pathways that are disrupted. And I think somewhere in here is like the B vitamins I have to look at. Dihydrofolate reductase is in here. But here, like okay, this is messing with glucose.
Even mannose.
Mannose is very important for immune recognition.
Yep.
5-methyltryptophan. Like the stuff they're like, I don't know. This, when you look at this stuff, you're like, what? Why would you put this in the food?
So I don't even know like why they would say that, what their big thing was for Roundup was it doesn't affect people's microbiome. It only affects the insects. So I don't even know how they could even come to that, because the amount of antibiotics and other stuff that's in there, how could you even say that that's not going to affect?
Well,
one
pathway. Thing I have learned is that it is very easy to design a study to get the answer that you want.
I'm sure.
And so you have to look at the methods in the study and the way they set it up. It's crazy. So anyway, I spoke on that at 2 different conferences. I could probably find one of them. Hang on. Maybe you don't want to find one, but it was Global Engage. Let me see if I can find that, and I'll show you what I showed. What I showed them, and it was interesting because there were a couple of food companies there, Cargill and somebody else, and they came to my talk, which I thought was kind of weird.
Did you give them a lesson?
I did give them a lesson, but they just sat there and kind of watched me. I'm a troublemaker.
It's okay.
I have to see if I can find it. I know I have it. Global Engage. I should. If I can spell properly. Global Engage. 2019, 2020. 2020. That's it, probably. Now let's see if I can. And myself, maybe. My text messages to myself have become this long storage thread stuff I send myself to try to get around. Although it's, oh, there it is. Okay. Let's see if this is it. Oh, that's not the right one. Although it's kind of interesting. This might be kind of interesting to show you anyway, because it's a comparison of other, like in our using our computational model to look at other probiotic brands and why they. So this was a Garden of Life brand and a Mega Foods brand, you know, where they just put tons of bugs in a jar without a, and like this particular one, everything in there was feeding this one strain, Lactobacillus brevis. So no cross feeding. Now this one had a little bit more, but not a lot. And there was a little bit of feeding going on anyway. But that was.
So what do you mean by cross feeding? I'm sorry, I missed that.
I think I'm going to show you here in a second. Like, okay. You see this right here?
Yeah.
That is sugar shift. So
Okay.
see how they're cross feeding each other?
Right. Keeping each other alive, like?
They're keeping each other alive, and they're like one is using the other's waste, and acetaldehyde, which is like you don't want, like everybody dumping off their acetaldehyde, and our leuconostoc is using that up.
Amazing.
And so is the plantarum. So
wow.
And then, you know, the Bacillus subtilis is balancing out the pH so that it doesn't get too acidic. So
how on earth did you discover all this, Martha?
How on earth did I discover all this? Well, I had a very good bioinformatics. So Nasir Sangawan was my, I met him originally before I started the company. I started funding some research at the University of Chicago, and Nasir worked at University of Chicago and Argonne National Labs. And he had a background in biochemistry, and then he went into the microbiome. He was one of the first people in India to really get interested in the microbiome and doing genetic sequencing and not just doing something called 16S where they just look at part of the genome of the bacteria. He was one of the earliest pioneers in doing whole genome sequencing, which is every gene of every bacteria in there, huge data sets, lots of computational work. And he did the original study that was looking at John's and my samples. So sorry, I'm trying to do two things at once. I did like 60 samples of John and me each, whole genome, back in 2015, and he did all that work. And so then, you know, from working with him and him sending me all these sheets and me trying to figure out like what was going on, and I learned a lot from him. I went to University of Michigan and took a class in basically genomic assembly and how it all works, so that I could understand what he was talking about. And then when I founded the company, I hired him to come to work for me and helped him get his like H-1B visa and like green card. I don't, he may be a citizen now. So I did all that working with him, and he would entertain my crazy ideas, digging through the data and finding stuff. And then he did some work on this software with some people at Argonne National Labs and some other people that he knew globally that built this software called Bacterial, which is basically a bacteria and you put them in the arena together and see what happens. And so he built our bioflux model using that back end of Bacterial and a database from Argonne National Lab that had 17,000 enzymes in it and all the genomes of the strains of bacteria. And so we built this, he built this model for us to predict how the bacteria work together. And then we had already come up with the idea for sugar shift. And so then we put it into the model and showed that, oh yeah, it does what we designed it to do. And so that was our proof of concept. And then we took that modeling and then we started making our magic microbes. Okay, so I did find what I was looking for, and then we'll look at this, and then y'all can go, because I know that we've been here a while. But here is the other one. So this was a little bit of the, and I have to do that. So I was looking for genes from the food supply. So these are on that paper I showed you, the marker genes. You know, I was looking for these different things. And so, let's see. I was kind of looking for a needle in a haystack. So this is one of those that I was looking for. And if you see here, these are the Parkinson samples. And that gene that's been engineered into the food is in the Parkinson samples. And then this, which is one of the target genes of glyphosate, these are the people with Parkinson's, and these are the people who don't have Parkinson's. So there's a difference in those genes. Let's see. I don't know. There may not be anything else in here that's really exciting. But this is that platform I was talking about. So we take the genomes of the bacteria, and then we run them through this model and do all this magic, and it comes out the other side. That it used to be called Sugar Busters. This is really old. And this was our predicted cross feeding, which you saw, which looked prettier in that other diagram, but this is what was really spit out of the machine. And then we could also do things like show butyrate production or mannitol production. So this is the mannitol production. This is alanine. This is reduced glutathione. So it's, you know, helping with antioxidant capacity. This is producing hydrogen, or sorry, not hydrogen, water. And this is your butyrate. So that whole formula produces butyrate. And then you can look over here and see which organisms are producing butyrate. And then you can, that's where we looked at mannitol. And this was looking at mannitol production by strain. So that is one, I think that's one of the reasons why L. reuteri is also very, you know, very beneficial, is that it is one of the mannitol producers. So plantarum, reuteri, and the leuconostoc mesenteroides are the biggest ones, but actually the formula itself produces way more than the strains by themselves would.
Wow.
Very
That must
interesting.
have been great to get those results back.
Yeah, so this was actually what we used in filing our patent. And then you can see here what's interesting about this is the growth curve, and you know they go, but at about 8 hours the ruderi starts accelerating. I think it's the ruderi. Yeah, that color right there is ruderi. So these are cross-feeding and accelerating the growth of L. ruderi.
Whoa.
And so there you have it. And then this was some early data. And this was really nice. I don't ever talk about this, but our early data showed that the formula actually significantly reduces antibiotic resistance genes. Almost 60%. So this was just, this was kind of interesting. We did one modeling what's happening in human tissue. And this was for a single strain of Lactobacillus plantarum, 3 different strains. We did this for a company that was trying to determine which strain they wanted to bring to market for IBD. Anyway, these are my cartoons because, like, when you start talking about this stuff, it mostly people's eyes cross. But this is so cool. Let me see if I can play this. So this was all of our Parkinson's and control data, and this was a software tool that a friend of mine who's like a super genius PhD in neural networks, and she built this using a software called Tableau, and you can see these are all the different enzymes, and it's going to just go through it really fast, like me clicking around, but enzymes more present in Parkinson's. You don't see any big ones. Enzymes more present in controls. Look at how different that is. Enzymes equally present. You know, that's them. Magnetisome, what is that? Then this, you can look at specific things. So you can, you could look at different enzymes or DNA replication control. But you can see I'm just going through giving somebody examples of what you can look at in here.
So why would Parkinson's patients compared to a healthy sample not have that variation, which was kind of graphic?
I mean, that's what I was trying to get somebody to look at and help me figure out. But now this, like, I have to get her to upgrade the software because the computer I have now, I can't run this tool anymore.
Okay, yeah.
But you can see here, copper homeostasis intolerance is very disrupted.
With Parkinson's patients?
Yep.
Copper.
So is there a way to
Heterophores.
might develop Parkinson's?
So that was is it still going? It's still going? Oh, this was some other stuff. This was really interesting. I had another guy who did something called, it was like natural language processing, like what you get in the AI models, where you tokenize everything. And he put microbes in groups of 3. And you could see these clusters. You can't tell what these are here, but you could see these clusters by disease or by 3 microbes together, but then you could also see there, I have another bunch of slides of this, and there were some connections to Parkinson's and sickle cell
Huh.
in the, I mean, this is microbiome data, but it's very interesting. Anyway, we're far afield of our book on light, as I have a tendency to do.
So Martha, would there be a way to predict people who might be in the early stages of Parkinson's, or how would they determine that?
Oh, I believe very much you could do that by looking at microbiome data in there are over 2,500 papers now on Parkinson's and the microbiome. It just isn't making it into medical practice because doctors don't know how to look at it, and nobody agrees on like a diagnostic profile of the microbiome. But like, I personally think you could look at, like, I can look at somebody's, like, I looked at a carnivore gut, 6 months ago, and I was like, man, that looks like Parkinson's.
Hmm.
It's like carnivore may be great anti-inflammatory diet for a period of time to knock out some of the stuff, but long term, I don't think it is the healthiest diet because you're not eating any fiber that is feeding those butyrate producing bacteria, and you get a more pathogenic profile of proteobacteria, and
I think that's kind of what Dr. Davis has implied.
yeah. So, I mean, it's tricky because people, they go down the low carb path because you're talking about carbs being a problem, but then they go to the excess. They don't realize, like, Dr. Davis isn't telling you not to eat vegetables.
Right.
You know what I mean? But then people will not eat vegetables or not eat very many vegetables. And, but the other thing I think is, and this is back to what Sheila said, is individuality is, I think when they talk about ancestral diets, okay, I think I've raised this before. Like, we don't all have the same ancestry. Like, people in Alaska and people in Ireland have a very different diet than somebody in the Caribbean.
Yeah, I'm still trying to figure out why, after taking penicillin every day, 3 times a day for 20 years, if that's even something that I can correct.
I mean, I think you can make good progress. You're never going to get back to the ecosystem that you had before that, but I still think you can make good progress. And, plenty of people do make, I mean, it's not fast because, okay, it took you 20 years of what you're doing. So that's why I like tell people not to get discouraged because, when we're undoing, 20, 30, 40 years of damage, it can take a while.
Yeah, well, I did that. You figure the first 20 years of my life, that's what I did. And then the next 20 years, I ate a ton of sugar. I probably had a candida overgrowth from all the antibiotics and just craved sugar all the time.
So it's, it's kind of like, well, okay, Jen was on here. She was talking about the Apostle Islands. The Apostle Islands were totally polluted from all the industrial stuff up there. And they kind of let it rest and nature restored it. So I think obviously we can't let our whole body rest because we got to eat. But if we're, if we're eating real food and we're mindful of what that is, like I do think the system can restore. I'm hopeful because I know that microbes can do amazing things and that they can bring us back from the brink. Okay, so I'm going to close it out, but thank you for coming. I'm sorry I didn't read I feel bad I didn't read the book, but now that I know from Chris all the great information it has in it, I am going to read it.
Great.
I just ordered it.
There's some things I need to dig into in there, and then we will be doing my book next month.
That'll be fun, Martha.
Connected, that's the one we're doing.
Yep. And it's available. Well, it'll be, if you want to get it through us at a discount, it'll be in the newsletter coming out this week, into this week, or it's available on Kindle for pre-purchase, comes out the 23rd, and it's only $9.99 on Kindle. And it's, well, I'll be interested to hear what you have to say about it. It has, if you've been on here with me enough, you kind of know how my brain works, but it's the story of John, but it's also the story of a lot of science and what's broken in medicine and maybe a path forward.
It's wonderful. Martha, it's great how you get the authors to come and talk to us. So we're really looking forward to next week.
Yeah, I am the author. Yes.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's see. We have Learning Lab next week. Do we have Learning Lab next week? I can't remember. I need to double check. I think we do have Learning Lab next week. There's it's the second one in the month that we don't have because I'm traveling. So we do have Learning Lab next week.
Good.
All right.
Thank you. That was great.
And Randy the farmer, I don't know if you're still on here, but glad you came.
Good night, everybody.
Take care.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye.